As anybody who knows us knows, Cindy and I love driving our Jeeps topless. And if we have to run a top, we prefer to run a soft top. Unfortunately, even with a soft top on, there's next to nothing that would prevent a would-be thief from getting inside and taking whatever he wants. It's for this reason that we've been running a Tuffy Security Deck in all our JKs over the last few years, and that's what we're going to be installing in our Jeep JL Wrangler today. Looks like it's just filler, padding. What do we got here? Brackets and hardware. This looks like it's the back panel that goes behind the rear bench. Down. Instructions, the driver's side panel, and this is definitely the passenger side because you can see there's an opening for the subwoofer. I should note it's important, if you're going to be ordering one of these for your JL Wrangler and you have the big Alpine subwoofer, you need to make sure that you get it with the subwoofer option, otherwise it won't have that hole. And it looks like this is a prop rod, some weather stripping, and it looks like, last but not least, the actual deck that goes up on top. Okay, so we have two different brackets here, and this looks like it's the driver's side bracket because the instructions specifically point to this little hole right here as being the passenger side bracket. So I'll set that down because we need to get onto the driver's side bracket first. Pour out some of our hardware, and let's see, we're going to grab our driver's side bracket. Slot faces up. We're going to need one of these carriage bolts. We're going to need a washer, and it looks like we're going to need one of these guys. Okay, so we're going to need to set the driver's side panel up first. Take our bracket with the slotted hole here, slip it through. Take our carriage bolt. We're going to slide it through this hole. Take our washer, place it on the bolt, and then loosely secure this in place. We don't want to tighten it up too tight because we're going to need some adjustment later. Okay, so we're going to need to grab this bolt here, nut, nylon washer, and this smaller steel washer. Looks correct. Grab our 1/2 inch wrench and our 3/16 inch Allen wrench. We're going to install the prop rod next. Okay, so now we can take our bolt, slip it through the closed end of the prop rod, which you can see on this end has a keyed opening. We're going to slide on our nylon washer, and then we're going to slip it through this hole on the driver's side panel. I'm going to lift this up, place the steel washer on the opposite side, and finally we put on this nylock washer on here. So now, using the 3/16 inch Allen wrench, we're going to hold this bolt in place and then use a 1/2 inch wrench to secure everything down. So the idea is to tighten it just enough so that you can raise and lower the prop rod, but not so tight that it doesn't move. We don't want it to rattle, but we don't want it to be so tight. There, see, it kind of works on its own. I could probably make it a little bit tighter. There we go. So now we can go ahead and start assembling the passenger side panel. And in order to do that, we're going to grab another carriage bolt, another washer, and another one of these wing nuts. Probably help if I also grabbed the appropriate bracket with the small hole. Slide that through. Take the carriage bolt, pop it in, washer, and then wing nut. Set it down. All right, so now we're going to grab all these body trim pieces, and these are meant to be installed on both these panels so that they don't rub on the plastic trim inside the JL. So we're going to go and install these now. These 4 pieces go along the edge of where the subwoofer would be. Just kind of pressed on and centered. then there's one final piece that goes on the driver's side, right over here. This is for where the tailgate is. All right, looks like we've got all the panels assembled and ready to be installed. So now we can go to the back of our JL. So it's not necessary, but to help make things easier for filming purposes, if nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and remove all the rear windows just so that we get more light and that we can actually see what we're doing. Okay, that should help out a lot. We've got some dust left over from the Rubicon. Okay, so for this next part of the job, we're going to need a Torx 40 bit like this and a flathead screwdriver. And then we're going to come over to the middle loop of all the hoops that you see here. Take our screwdriver, pop that open, and then we're going to use our Torx 40 to remove it. Now we're not going to need this hoop anymore, so I'll set this aside. And while we're at it, we'll go ahead and do the passenger side as well. Okay, so now we're going to grab the driver's side panel first. Take it back over to our Jeep. We're going to set it in here. And I'm going to need to grab a couple of these aluminum spacers. So these aluminum spacers are going to go underneath the sprocket where that hole was. And then the kit should have come with cap screws to finish this off, which would have given it a nice flush finish. But since for some reason ours didn't come with it, I'm going to go ahead and reuse the factory bolts. These ought to be long enough to work. Or not. Oh no, they may not be. Okay, I thought these bolts would be long enough, but that's why we were supposed to get new ones. They're a little too short to be secured in place, so we might need to make a trip to the hardware store. Damn. All right. Love that sound. Time to go to the hardware store. If any place is going to have what we need, this place will have it. This is what I call a specialty hardware department. All right, let's see if we can find what we need. It's not the perfect solution. Would have preferred something a little bit rounded or flat even, but I think these will get the job done. All right, so we just got back from the hardware store with some bolts that are gonna work. They may not be the perfect solution, but didn't really want to wait for Tuffy to send us some new bolts, and these were just as easy to get. So as you can see, this is what we're using. I added a couple washers. I'll go ahead and install these now. I'm pretty sure we don't want to go too tight on any of the bolts yet until we get all the pieces assembled, because they might need a little extra adjustment. So I'm going to leave that just tight right now, and we're going to go ahead and install the passenger side panel now. All right. Take our aluminum spacer again, place it on top of the hole. Position this accordingly. So then I'm going to go ahead and tighten up these thumb screws just a little bit more, just to make sure everything's kind of in place. So the next step is to install the back panel that'll go behind the rear seats. So I'm going to go ahead and fold these down partially, if nothing else, so that I can get access to everything. So now we can get this panel So we'll grab the rest of these carriage bolts and washers. And all of these guys. So we're going to take all these carriage bolts and slip them into holes from this side. Place washers on this side. Put on these knobs. Okay. So now that everything's assembled, I can go ahead and tighten up everything here. Go back over to these bolts, make sure they're tight. Okay. All right, all we have to do is put on the deck and we should be good to go. Okay, let's come here on the side. As you can see, there are these rollers here. I'm just gonna slide it on both sides. Now that we've got the lid installed, we can go ahead and prop it up using the prop bar. Last but not least, we can take this piece of edge seal and install it on the forward edge of the deck itself. This will help prevent any vibrations or rattling that might otherwise be caused by the deck. Okay. Now we can lower the prop rod, set the deck down, and if you look right here, there's these channels on either side. And then we take the whole deck, push it forward to lock it in place. It's a little dusty, but otherwise looks good. As you can see, by closing the tailgate itself, the deck is actually tucked in underneath the tailgate, and that would prevent any thief or would-be thief from opening up the deck. And of course, since we use carriage bolts, there's no way they could unscrew or remove this back panel as well. So everything is 100% secure. So we can go ahead and put our seats back up. And there you have it. Our Jeep JL Wrangler now has a Tuffy Security Deck that'll protect all the valuables that we normally carry with us.